Hello and welcome to Analyst Hangout. I am Perpetua Fasomi-Peter. Well, today I have 4 amazing and great analysts with me. 2 are right here with me in the studio, while 2 others join us virtually. I have Ambrose Omodio, the Chief Research Officer at Invest Data Consulting. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you, as usual.
And yes, we also have Charles Farquhar. He's a stockbroker and business analyst. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me, Perpetua.
Yeah, always a pleasure. And joining virtually, we have Jari Ogbetunde Shegun. He's an independent stock market analyst with Tradelines.biz Investment Limited. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
All right, we also have Aruna Kebirajimo, the Managing Director and CEO of Global View Capital Limited. Thanks for joining us, Aruna.
It is my pleasure always, Perpetua.
All right. All right, we'll start with the review of activities during this particular week, and looking at what's been happening. First off, we see that the market, that's the Nigerian equities market, maintained negative posture for more than a week as sell pressure continued, and then the key market indicator closed below 50,000 psychological lines. The week also saw only 3 stocks recording gains for 2 consecutive days. And if you ask me, I'll say, should we be worried? Let's start with you, Ambrose.
I would say it's not over for NGS.
Okay.
Because markets are...
I know before now you always talk about the 50,000, the Fibonacci and all of that. Yeah. So I was...
That's where we are going.
Okay.
Like I said, it's not over for NGS as markets are at the crossroad of risk and opportunity. You know, for investors, I think it's time for those that understand how to invest, you know, take advantage of the pullbacks we are seeing to position for a better tomorrow in the market, because I believe that every investment is against the future. As we just say, if you look at the Fibonacci, you see that, yes, on the long run, market has broken down that long bearish, you know, as that was on Wednesday, when it break down around the 51, it crossed down the strength, you know, the long-term strength line, or call it a strength line. But I believe that for now, market have tested just the Fibonacci of 61.06%. They tested yesterday, but if market can rebound today, fine. The good thing is that if you also look at the prices of stocks, yesterday we saw some of resistance, you know, for further decline. The life of your cap showed that sign yesterday. After touching as low as 9, it went back as almost 10 naira, 10 kobo to close the day. Also, we saw the life of you know, those big cap stores like you know, Steplat and Net result came to the market impressive. It remains stable to support the market. I believe that today we have seen about 10 stocks gaining yesterday compared to what we saw the previous day of 3 no store on the top, you know, gainers chart. But now we've seen 10 as at yesterday. I believe that this morning, as the market is opening, we expect that things will also look up. But I believe that at this time and from next week, where the big boys, I call it big boy because they're going to provide most liquidity in the market. We are seeing the market is suffering some of liquidity scarcity in the market. But I believe when the PFAs that plays with trillions come to the market, expect to see a turnaround in some sectors and individual stocks, because they have the kind of stock they put their money. And we have seen earnings already in the market showing that most PE ratio are low, so that most of the stock are undervalued. Also, if you also look at your technical indicators, I said this in one of these programs that we have what we call, you know, economic cycle, market cycle, and you know, technical analysis cycle or pattern cycle. You can see that market has already entered the oversold region. And when you see stocks or the market at the oversold region, it's a sign that rebound is on that way. For me, investors should not panic, but rather take advantage of pullback and buy into good stocks and wait for a better. Because even though you are investing for dividend alone, stock like Zenith Bank at the current price of 18 something, more than almost 17% dividend, which is almost close to what the inflation figure. Also that of your cap. You know, for me, look at those that have good earnings and their yields are high. You can position for those that are, you know, income investor, because even there's no change in the market between now and end of the year, if you are taking dividend that's above inflation, you are good to go. All
right, let's have your reaction to what he has just said.
Yes, well, the market crossing coming below that 50,000 is quite psychological. Like you have said, during the week we saw about just 3 stocks that gained. Again, I would say it's just a matter of market dynamics. Of course, effective buying, continuous buying and selling, prices are bound to go up and come down. And of course, if you have that little knowledge about technical analysis, you will be able to see some of the points where you can take your decisions, you know, in terms of the resistance and the support level. However, for those who are investors, for those who are long term, you know, like Andrew said, if you are buying for dividends or price appreciation, you should not be worried about this up and down movement. As long as you have invested in equities that you have seen their earnings, you have seen their performances, and over time. So you just invest in stocks with that strong fundamentals, and as long as the yield is close to or even above that the current inflation rate, of course, when you invest in them, if nothing happens, as you have said, from now till the end of the year, you are good to go. So I would just advise investors to just stay close to their stockbrokers and begin to talk continuously.
Yes, sir.
All right, that's interesting. So, Jerry Obe, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you very well.
All right, so we're looking at the fact that we have seen sustained sell pressure witnessed on shares of some blue chip firms that are quoted on the Nigerian exchange. But then it seems Airtel Africa and Seplat Energies are not beaten in this market correction. I'd like you to talk to us about this.
Anyway, if you look at all these high cap stock like Airtel Africa, Seplat, and some of them, you see that there are many reasons why they will not drop easily. Number one, the market is a kind of being controlled, as in the movement of price. There's a limited volume you must trade to be able to move their price. And looking at their price as 1,300 and something and thereabout, you will agree with me that it's not easy to move enough volume to be changing their prices here and there on the floor of the exchange. Then again, you look at the fundamentals of some of these stocks, the fact that they have dual value, in the people are actually looking at them and looking at various opportunities they can make in these stocks. So you look at the fundamentals of these stocks, they are kind of different from other stocks, other blue chips, other lower price stocks that are moving down on the floor of the exchange at the moment.
Okay, that's quite interesting. Well, if you can hear me, Aruna, can you hear me?
Yes, I can, loud and clear.
Okay, now let's talk about this. The NGX lost approximately 312.50 billion naira in capitalization. That was on Monday. And that's attributable to losses seen majorly from MTN shares. And then the next day, shareholders of MTN Nigeria PLC lost about 417 billion naira. Tell us what that was about. Are there lessons here for traders and investors?
Yeah, I suppose so, because you can see that even all the bad news surrounding the market actually still held last week. But this week, what we are seeing, what we've seen so far as at yesterday was triggered by this loss in MTN we are talking about. But when I actually look at the trading critically, I discovered that most of the volumes that actually led to the decline of MTN yesterday were actually not on the queue. And they were kind of like crossing. So it's like somebody was divesting seriously and another person was taking it. And you know the way the market is, some of us are into this head mentality, especially when we have bad news. So the other stock follow suit. And the only thing that I want traders to know and investors to know is that look critically what actually is happening in the stock. Assuming as at the time MTN was dropping, I saw like the offer side, you see 100,000 to sell, then I would not know that there's a real problem. But most of the things that happen in MTN that they were cross.
All right, that's interesting. I'd like to have your reaction to that.
Yes, I think Aruna is correct. You know, when you look at some of the trading pattern critically, of course, probably that's what the outside investors might not see. But as a trader, when you see the pattern, you know that yes, like what he said, it was a crossing, you know. And when it's a crossing, there's already a ready buyer, a ready seller. Not that the seller is just offering everything to the open market. So when you see that, you know that yes, there's nothing to panic about.
All right, now let's talk about the U.S. rate hike. What impact will it have on the NGX, considering the fact that even the Naira has fallen to 710 per dollar?
Actually, for me, if you look at the rate hike for US, I would say that the market, even international market, has not reacted negatively to that hike. They see that opportunity since the chairman of Fed said, oh, they are not likely to, hike rates, want to watch inflation and also be careful of what is happening in the economy. And also, at the end of the day, yesterday we saw a kind of a decline in the GDP for Q2 release from US after analyzing their GDP dropped to around 0.9%. And that will show that technically they are entering a recession. And that will also inform other, central bank of the world that when you continue increase your rate, automatically you are kind of siphoning your economy. You are deflating growth and all that because cost of fund is high, cost of operation is high. In that process, the economy is like backward to contrast, and that what is also in US. That will also send a signal to others what to do at this point, because I believe that it's not only just monetary tightening will solve the problem of what rising inflation. If the war is really serious, I think this is the time they should try to make peace between Ukraine and Russia, so that it will be, because that is what trigger all the inflation we're seeing. Almost 40 years now we're seeing the highest inflation. We have not seen it before. What happened that because there was distortion of supply both in commodity and in items for consumption. All this does affect. For me, I believe that they should go beyond just more tightening and let them go to the physical aspect and see what they can do. Even also going to even intervene in this war, so that things will come to now. And I know that even a year ahead, even after things have come down, because of the destruction that we have seen in Ukraine, things will not flow. But then when there is peace, we can see that yes, things are about to come out. For me, it's a good one. But for here down in Nigeria, for those that are really importing their raw materials with the Naira falling to almost 710
naira.
Per dollar. For me, we're already importing inflation, and that also caused a lot of pressure in the FX market. But for those that are doing this, because it's high demand, high supply, because the demand for dollar is high, that's why you are seeing the price rally. They are seeing that we're seeing sovereignty risk within the economy today, our Nigeria environment today. We're seeing the economy where the policy is going. That let's play safe, go into hard currency to save our position. But I believe that if tomorrow things improve, where you go to, that means you will find who to buy it at it. Because if you are entering at 7 naira, that's why I say speculating currency is not good for a country. It's not good for economy. Yes, people want to play safe. People want to play defense, to against the falling naira. But for me, CBN also should sit up, and the government should sit up to know that this is check. That at the end of the day, our manufacturing sector, private sector will not close shop, because once there is high cost of operation, and we are also exchange rate is high, then there's no business for them, because even those that are bringing the raw materials, they will push out of the business, and that will create unemployment. And we're trying that is rising insecurity. When people are not employed, so that for me is beyond the CBN monetary policy tightening. It should be a holistic idea, measured by both fiscal authority, government, state government, all stakeholders in Nigeria, to know that let's put the economy in the right track, so at the end of the day, Nigeria become a better place for us. Because I believe that without the economy, there is no politics. Because even though we are looking at becoming a president, and the economy when you want to become a president is is shatter. You don't want to be a president, because that will provide money for them to pay your bills. You need to put your economy in order so they can support your political drive.
I was going to come to you, but let me spare you for now. So he was saying something about the Ukraine-Russia crisis, and we see how that this has affected supply in many countries. A lot of economies are suffering because of this. What are the lessons therein?
Yes, it's very simple. I've already said it. Ukraine-Russian crisis, and it's affecting everybody in the world today. Again, yes, we know that the world is interdependent.
Yes.
But again, there are
isn't this dependence so
that's where I'm going in now, because we need to look at some critical input that we require. You don't completely depend on a particular. Fine, yes, like wheat now. They say Ukraine supplies most of the world market for wheat, but at this critical time where there are issues in Ukraine, of course Russia, then what happened to the other suppliers? This is the time we should begin to improve in terms of supplies of that they are critical inputs that will kickstart their own economy. Take Nigeria, for example, now. He has mentioned the dollar increase. We're talking of 710 naira to a dollar. Now, the government should sit up and see that you don't allow people to buy this forex when it is not being used for critical issues. Something very, very essential. That is when you can now sell this dollar. And the policies must be tight. Again, he has also mentioned, it's not only monetary. Of course, we all know that the fiscal policy must also play its own role and see that the economy is attacked and approached from all sides. Security has to be.
I think that's the biggest challenge in Nigeria.
But finally, I would just beg the U.S. government, let them do all within their might to end that crisis in Ukraine and Russia.
Are the parties willing?
It should be. Let the
They should, in fact, let the world leaders ensure that, yes. But again, the lessons we have learned is we now know that we now begin to see alternatives to certain things.
Like you just said, most of these big countries or climate are benefiting from this war. Let them put the benefit they want to gain aside, and let's talk of the generator of the war, because some are selling their arms, some are selling this. For that, they are making money from all this. For me, I believe that selling of arms should not be what is important. That supply of weapons is not be supply. Let's see, let the peace reign. But when there's peace in the atmosphere globally, things will strive.
There'll be prosperity
I will tell
everywhere.
you that this attitude now, this what is happening now today, is going to discourage globalization. Have to start looking inward.
Exactly.
Because
That's the point what I was expecting.
People to
Dependence on yourself.
Overdependence.
Yeah, talk about globalization. Yeah, it's good, but let's look inward and see where you have strength and do it, because tomorrow you don't know what happened. That is why in Nigeria, I think we should wake up. We'll have a massive land here and there, but because of insecurity, people are not in the farm. Let's see what we can do and make use of this land and start producing something. I believe that government that is coming on board should think of how to encourage our youth and make farming attractive for you to go back. You can feed ourselves and export. Because if now that you are seeing all this you're creating, despite that we have oil, we are not taking advantage of our oil because of what? We are not producing to the quota, and also because of one reason or the other. I believe that if we are having a good security in the system, all of us doing the farm. I'll be in the farm. I might not sleep in the farm. I have technology to do the farm, but when we have a plan, we can be producing for feed Nigeria, and then we can start exporting. We want to we're shouting FS. If we are exporting, we get FS. What are we exporting? We're all depending on what? On crude oil. The ones that are going out are from different sectors, little. But if we are exporting agri products, I'll tell you, palm oil, a lot of them, that will give us money and boost our external reserve.
Before you even go to your next question,
okay,
wheat can grow in Nigeria.
Oh, well, there is...
so what are we talking about? Why should bread price
there's an intervention.
Can grow in Nigeria?
There's an intervention.
But why must we wait till now? Before we have an intervention. Wheat can grow in Nigeria.
Absolutely. They've been given hectares of land.
And let's begin to visit the farm. Like he said, security has to be key.
All right. I totally enjoyed this conversation. I wish I could get Aruna and Jari Ogbe's thoughts on that. But of course, we have to move on. This is about Seplat. That's a Seplat Energy. The company has declared that's a 2.5. That's a $2.05 interim dividend for shareholders in the first half of 2022. Now, Seplat Energy PLC announced that interim dividend at a rate of $2.05 per ordinary share to be paid to their shareholders whose names are paid in the register of members as at the close of business on 12th August 2022. Well, just to put it out there, Seplat Energy PLC is a Nigerian independent energy company listed on both the Nigerian Exchange Limited and London Stock Exchange. I think I'll only take one question on this one. Haruna, can you hear me? Okay, Jari Ogbe, can you hear me? All right, so who will go for this one? Let's have your thoughts on it.
Yeah, for me, for Seplat Energy, this is a company that has been stable in terms of performance, and also the positive news or fundamental news for the sector or the industry where it operates is also reflecting on their performance. I'll tell you that their Q2 or half-year result that came to the market was impressive, and that they're able to pay. And this is a company that in Nigeria, they've kind of pattern their payment to be quarterly. And when you do quarterly payments for your investors, it gives them confidence to hold on to you. But then there won't be rush for them to sell your shares to put it down. As well, if they are same value, for me, this is another way of some companies should also go this way to manage their price. Once you are doing well, you are paying quarterly dividend, and this is what they brought from matured market, that quarterly dividend will help them to manage their price, and it's also supporting them. And don't forget that because they are into crude oil business, we are seeing the thing reflect on their number. And for me, I can see that most of the number that came from that sector where it operates, apart from they are not into crude oil business, those that are even in oil marketing in Nigeria will see improved performance in their numbers. If that is sustained, I think it's a sector one should look at. This payment for me is a good one for them because they just released, receive about another 12 or 13 naira just few months ago for full year. They get another one for first quarter. They get another one for second quarter again. So Nigerian investors in Seplat should be smiling, and that's why the company also should be investors toast for now.
Again, even before I go to the next question, I think Seplat has really, in fact, the environment where they operate, they've maintained that standard.
Yeah.
And you can see that even the host communities are supporting them. Yes, I wouldn't want to mention the particular place in Delta State. The Seplat has shown that they are really a responsible oil producing company, and they are meeting all the standards. That's why we are saying that it is not affecting their production. They are able to produce, And of course, coming out with that kind of interim dividends after paid so much full year, you can see for an investor, you can use the dividend from cash from surplus to plan your cash flow.
All right, that's interesting. Well, we'll take a break now, and when we return, we have more stories, more conversations. Stay with us. You're watching Analyst Hangout.